Hi, Bekki.
Hello, Fran.
So I brought Bekki on the podcast today. We met about a month ago. Had a hot chocolate. I was going to say a coffee. We had a hot chocolate together, didn't we?
Yeah.
At the Strawberry Thief, we can name drop. Because Bekki reached out to me, and I'll let you kind of tell the story about that.
Yeah, wow. So I'd heard of Fran a lot when I've been working in different schools. So I've been working in education for about 20 years now. And Fran's name kept popping up, and I thought, do you know what? I need to get in touch with this lady and just find out a little bit more about her. Because at the time, I was sadly being made redundant from my job, and I was having a major panic in my life, thinking, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do? And so I thought, I'll chat to Fran. I was quite ballsy. I just was found her on Facebook and did a bit of Facebook stalking, and I just asked her, said, Fran, don't you get any ideas or any tips on how on earth you go freelance, self-employed, or whatever it is? So Fran very, very kindly, even though I was just some crazy stranger off the internet, very kindly pointed me the right direction for lots of different things. And he said, we must actually meet face to face in the new year. And I say new year, it was March, wasn't it, by the time we actually met?
Yeah. Because
life's just so busy. And then we just got on really well. We've just been sharing stories and comparing notes. So my story kind of started when I was 18, really. I just had a love for children. I just always really loved working with children. And I started off in a nursery. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to be a teacher. I'd love to be that. I'd love to be a teacher. So I went off and I did a degree in early years education. And whilst I did that, I was doing a lot of work in a primary school. And it opened my eyes and I realised, no, this isn't what I want to do. I suddenly realised that actually, poor teachers, there's the academics. I'm not a very academic person. I'm the more bubbly, chatty person. I like getting down on the floor with the children. Come on, let's get the sand tray out. Let's make a mess.
Yeah, I love that.
And so I decided to go from there. I started working as a teaching assistant, and throughout my journey, I ended up at Nyland School, which is the social emotional mental health social emotional mental health school in Swindon, and I just absolutely loved working there. And then I thought, do you know what? Maybe I'll go back to maybe I'll go back into teaching. So I went back to mainstream, just not for long. And I thought, no, I'm sorry, mainstream children. I'm sorry. I need my SEN kids back. Aww. So then a job came up on the SEMH outreach team. And I've been there for 13 years and was just hoping to be there until retirement. Going out and giving advice to teachers, head teachers, parents, working with children, trying to help them, manage school life a little bit more, really. Because a lot of children are really, really struggling in school these days. There's so much pressure, so much this anxiety building up. And of course, we're seeing so many neurodiverse children now as well. That's sort of shot right through the radar now, that we're getting so many children with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, that really kind of fascinated me. And I kind of just kept on the back burner whilst I was working, because I kind of thought, I've got enough to do at the moment. I'm working full time. I've also got a son and a husband who are neurodiverse as well. Yeah. So I thought, my plate's full. But then when I got made redundant, even though it was a terrifying experience, I thought, actually, this could be an opportunity now to really explore those avenues, and real passion of mine.
It forces your hand, and it might seem like really scary at the time, but when you look back on it, you're like, that was meant to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I was quite fortunate that a lot of the schools in Swindon already knew me. So I was able to reach out to Senkos, head teachers, and sort of a bit of word of mouth, sort of see what was out there. And so Fran told me about the drawing and talking, and thought, that sounds fab, sounds right over my street. Mm-hmm. So I trained in that, and then with all my work from working on the SEMH team for so long, I thought, what can I pull from that? What can I draw from that? And I've managed to set up my own business now, which is called Nurtured Pathway.
I didn't know the name of it.
Did you not?
I really like that.
Yeah, it's lovely. So I've got a website, so you can always have a little look, and I've offered out drawing and talking as a separate sort of intervention on its own, and then I've taken on my SEMH background, and I've offered out interventions for many various things, really helping children to learn how to regulate their emotions. Some are like a friendship group, or some are one-to-one sessions where we could look at anger management or anxiety. I've also got a really fab one that I'm really enjoying doing at the moment. I'm so glad that school got me in to do it. It was So I just designed all of these myself.
That's good.
Over the Christmas holidays, I was saying, right, come on, let's get all this stuff together.
Yeah.
And one, it's called Exploring Neurodiversity.
Yeah.
And so I'm working with a fab young man at the moment who was just really, really struggling to accept his diagnosis of ADHD.
Yeah.
Saying that he felt really different. He never wanted to promote it, didn't want anyone to know about it. It was hard, bless him. People knew about it because he was very hyperactive, very bouncy, struggled to regulate, was very impulsive.
Yeah.
And we've been working together now for only 5 weeks, but he's really come out of his shell.
Oh, wow.
To the point that the school now have said that he's even joined, at lunchtime, they've got a little neurodiversity group where the children come together and play board games and do different things together. And to begin with, I was like, oh, no, I'd never go to that.
Yeah.
And he's actually offered to go to the group because now he feels proud of the fact that I've got ADHD. There's nothing wrong with having ADHD.
Oh, well done, Bekki. That's so lovely.
So I really, really enjoyed that. I mean, that I've taken from my personal experience with my son.
Yeah.
Because just watching him grow and develop from about the age of 3, we were like, wow, yeah, okay, definitely something going on here. And so I've taken lots of things that I've seen him struggle with. And I thought, what is it then that children really want to learn about? And so there's a little bit of science involved. And I thought, is this going to sound a bit geeky? You know, we look at pictures of the brain and we talk about all the neurons and all the transmitters. Do you do that as well?
But it's really empowering for children to understand about the brain. There should be more done around that. Like, we should understand our brains and our bodies more.
Yeah, and how it all links together.
This is what we're sat in every day. So we need to understand it, don't we? Yeah, and how it works together.
Yeah, that's it. And then like one session's about that. Another session was about how we can be very sensitive to like sounds and different things, and how all of our senses play a big part in everything as well. And this lad was saying, oh, so that's why I get annoyed then when people make a lot of noise in the classroom, or I don't like going in the dinner hall. He said, I just thought it was me. I thought I was just being a bit weird or a bit strange. And I was saying, no, it all links back to everybody's brains work in a different way. And sometimes yours might be hypersensitive and like hyper-focused or whatever it might be. And we started looking at scenarios, and he obviously enjoyed looking at all the famous people.
Yeah. That's always a good one to do, isn't it?
And realising that, there's successful people out there.
Yeah.
So it's been really wonderful setting up the business, setting up session plans. So most of them are 6 week interventions. And then I've even said on my website, you know, if there's a school that can think of something else that they need a little bit of support with this child, let me know. And I'm more than happy to devise a programme that's bespoke, because not all children are going to fit in certain boxes or certain categories. So that's as far as I've got so far.
I've got families that I know would be really interested in what you've just said about this person you've worked with. I know people that would snap your hand off for that. And I think it's great because you've done the one-to-one. There might be things that you're saying there that the parents said, but they just need to hear it from somebody else, and that's given them the confidence to go on and do group work. So often schools will put that out there that they do group work, but children just don't really want to talk in a group. But now you've given them stepping stone to actually go and do that by doing one-to-one.
Yeah, and he seems quite proud of the fact that he's okay. Like, it doesn't matter, I've got ADHD. Yeah. And I'm like, yes.
Oh my
just
God,
want to hug him. And then I'm thinking, but hold on, sensory stuff. I better not grab him and hug him.
Yeah.
He might go, get off me.
I always say, do you do high fives?
Yeah. Oh no, my son's like, a fist bump.
Whatever works.
Yeah, exactly.
But you must feel like a proud parent for this child. Because I feel quite emotional.
Yeah, it's lovely.
So made such an impact.
That's it. And so it's really, really nice. So I feel like if you look at my website, there's a variety of things that I'm offering. I've also got a section on there for parent workshops, which I haven't got round to finishing.
Okay.
But that would be my dream, especially being a parent myself as a child with SEND. I know what these parents are going through. And sometimes I think parents come to meetings and they come to school and they feel like a bit of an outsider, and they feel like, all these professionals are here and they know what they're doing, and here's me and I'm doing something wrong because why is my child like this? And then I rock up and I put my hand up and I'm like, don't worry, join the club.
Yeah, you're navigating
I'm in that same boat.
Yeah.
So I'm currently going through the EHCP process for my son, which has been a lovely good old battle that I'm sure a lot of parents can relate with. Just experienced mediation last week. Hoping that'll be the end of it. We won't have to go to tribunal, because I've heard there's about a 12 to 14 month wait for that. So you just don't want your children to be just hanging around waiting, do you? Thinking, come on, that's another year of that. It's taken a year to get the HCP because of the EP shortages and all of that malarkey. So I'm thinking, my poor son's already missed out on a year of his education.
Yeah.
We're finally getting his EHCP, but it's not quite exactly how it should be. And then you feel like, am I just being a picky parent? Am I just...
No.
But then you think, but actually, that's your child. They get one chance to get their education right. So let's get it right now. He's only in year 2. I think, come on, we've got plenty of time.
Yeah.
So I understand how that works. I'm also still on the waiting list for the neurodevelopmental pathway. I keep ringing them up. Hello, is my son any higher up the waiting list yet?
Yeah.
I got a phone call last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, your son's getting to the top of the list now, so we're just ringing just to check you still want the appointment.
Yeah.
And I think I might have said yes a bit too loudly. And yes, we need the appointment, please.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, they said within the next few weeks you should get an appointment.
Yeah.
So that'll be a game changer.
Do you want the appointment? Oh no, they're not neurodiverse anymore. It's gone away.
It just magically
I just gave them some
I
Calpol.
cured it.
Of course I want the appointment.
I know. And so I know, so my husband battled with this for a little bit because he, funnily enough, he actually has diagnosis now himself of ADHD. So I met him over 10 years ago. I was maybe a little bit rude. And I was like, oh, so you do know you've got ADHD, don't you?
This is like when you first shook his hand.
First date. I'm surprised I got a second phone call.
Yeah.
And he said, oh no, we don't really believe in that in my family and stuff. That's just one of those old-fashioned, I think sometimes his dad just thinks, you're just not disciplining your children properly, you're not being firm enough, you're this new snowflake generation. And I was like, no. And so it's taken me a long time. It wasn't until we had my little Reg, and he's come along with all of his difficulties.
Yeah.
But my husband's gone,
He can see himself.
oh, yes. And then
Yeah.
he's now actually had like quite a bit of like an emotional kind of moment where he's gone, actually, I don't want my son to end up like what I ended up like. I had a really, really, really challenging childhood where he said that he ended up just becoming the class clown because that was just the easy way to fit in, make everyone laugh, and then people wouldn't notice that actually he's not very good at reading and writing. Fair play to his parents that back then, 44 years ago,
Yeah.
it wasn't really widely talked about or known
times were
about.
different.
So
Yeah.
I understand. So but I said to him, they do adult assessments, and he was like, no. But then we started watching some different things. You get people on TikTok, and you can watch these couples and all these different people, and he started the penny started to drop.
Aww.
And then he said, actually, I think I need to get a diagnosis. I need to do something for myself so that then when it's Reggie's turn to go and have all of this done, that then he can relate and be, it's okay, my dad's like that, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So
Just seeing it through different eyes, isn't it? And being a parent changes you as well. So
yeah,
different
and that's
priorities.
it. And so he was a bit like, we don't need a label. And I think, but it's not about getting a label, it's about getting the support. And sad to say, because of all the way the systems work these days, you need to have those diagnoses, especially when we're looking at secondary school. Because I think Reggie will just about manage primary school, but I think secondary school might have to start looking at specialist provisions. And then sometimes without that diagnosis, that can really limit your options.
Yeah.
So it's more about having that, and also for Reggie to understand, because he's at that age now where he's starting to say, I'm a bit different, mummy, I feel a bit different. And I worry about that. And I think if I've then got something I can say to him, well, actually, you've got ADHD or you've got autism or whatever it might be, that he might then go, it's because of that, that's okay then.
Yeah. You can empower and educate.
Yeah, exactly. So that really is what pushed me to set up this business, really.
Yeah.
Because then I could work term time as well and be there for him. Because something I did notice, another gap in the market, which I don't think I'm quite brave enough to do, is send to holiday clubs.
Yeah.
Because if I was working in the holidays, where would poor little Reg go?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of holiday clubs do say we're inclusive, but I went to send trampoline session this morning with Reg, which they're fab, by the way, because they're the places where I feel like I'm not being judged and I can actually sit back and relax. I could go off and be yourself, Reg, because I don't have to go and explain to 100 parents why you've said this or done that. But even there, I still sometimes feel like I have to follow him around a little bit and check that he's okay. Because sometimes if somebody says to me he doesn't quite understand, he'll just suddenly go in a corner and just sit there and hide. And I'd be heartbroken if I went back at 5:00 in the evening, picked him up, and they were like, oh, he's just sat in the corner all day.
I know, because you can't, because you're dropping them off and you can't go and check it out for yourself. You're not with them. So they might say they're all inclusive. And I'm sure every intention is to be all inclusive.
Of course.
But there might, like you say, there might be things that they're saying that have been misinterpreted by him, and they're unintentionally doing the wrong thing in terms of how to communicate. So,
this is it. So I'm thinking, so that's a gap in the market. Maybe we get together into a holiday club, Fran. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we could. All these ideas.
There's all these.
We've got a community now of people. See, we're interview somewhere. I say interview. It's not. I don't know why I keep calling it interview. It's not a chat. We're all adding into this network, this community, and then we're all going to meet up, and then we're going to go bounce some ideas around, and we don't know who's suddenly all going to be working under one roof together. There's lots of things, as I spoke on the podcast before we started the podcast. I'm already linking people up. Which is really cool.
And that thing that I would love to work more with parents. I think I said this about 10 minutes ago. I go off on a tangent, don't I?
I love it.
I started that. I like to work with parents, and I started going because of my son, blah, blah, blah. But I think it'd be great to do parent workshops to get people together. And people can share experiences. And I'm more than happy, as I say, working on the SMH team for 13 years gave me quite a wide wealth of experience and knowledge and training courses that I've been on. I'm not for a second saying that I've got all the answers or that I know more than other people. But I think it's nice sometimes when parents have got that person they can relate to. And that person standing in front of them isn't telling them what to do or why they're doing something wrong, but actually, oh, have you tried it this way? Have you done it this way? Have you thought of this? And so I'm in a moment, I'm trying to just put something together, but I want it to be right before I launch it.
I know,
So, and it's just finding the time, isn't it? It's finding the time. Being a mum, being a wife, sorting out all of that, plus my little business, doing the school run every day. I'm trying to find the time to do everything. But that I'm hoping. So people keep an eye out for my website. I'm hoping one day you'll see a big flashy thing I'm saying, parent shop workshops available.
And I would say, do what you're drawn to. So you have a million ideas. And you ping pong them around. But like I've just been listening to an Audible about like trust your intuition. So if you're really drawn to something, don't ignore it. Go with it. So you've got loads of ideas there, and you're doing all these different things. But like,
I know, because I'm trying to design it where it's not death by PowerPoint. You know, you go to these courses and you're just staring at a screen, but then I need notes, because otherwise I then start to waffle on. So I need something for me more to pull me back to what I'm talking about. So that's in the pipeline. And as I say, I've got a few schools at the moment who employ me to come in and work with groups of children. But equally, I'm saying to people, let parents know as well, because I'm more than happy to take on private clients and work with children in that capacity as well. There's just so much out there it's kind of now's the opportunity just to go out. I think get my name out there more.
And that's what I'm saying. There's different angles to it, which I was saying to you before we started, wasn't it? About, okay, maybe a school you can't contract for a school, but like a school can tell parents about you. Because they have them in for coffee mornings and things like that often. Send parents. So it's like they can go, right, well, we've got this, or they might have a newsletter, or they can put you in their website. You know, there's ways to go, this is out there. So it's just working it out, isn't it? And we talked about premium children, and you know, some children have money allocated to them. So how the school's going to spend that money, and there's lots of options. But I think for me, I definitely got in front of a lot of Senkos. And I said, isn't you know under no obligation, but can I just tell you about what I do? And it's about me as well as a person. So meeting me in the flesh, and then they go, I like you, and then something might come of it 6 months later, but that's okay. And that did happen, and then I've been at a school for 4 years, so and it's the best school in the world.
That happens to me. Somebody got in touch just before Christmas, but then they said no, that was it. I reached out and said to them what I'm doing. They were, that's fab, like good luck with all, if we have any children come up. Then all of a sudden, end of February, they were like, I've managed to secure a package of money from the child's EHCP.
And you're on the radar.
Please, can you come in?
And you're on their radar, so you're the first person they
think.
It's just, and you said you'd heard my name.
It's that,
I think it's quite a memorable name, Fran Hanrahan. So it's like your name on people's lips and your name in people's heads. So when these opportunities come up, you are the first person they think of, because they're like, I know their name, I've met them, I think they're great.
And it's easy enough to get them in.
Exactly. There's loads you can do.
That's it. And so I'm trying to branch out. So I'm thinking I've got all my little interventions now set up that I can offer, and the drawing and talking. And then hopefully the parent workshops. And I'm just trying to keep my eye out, see if there's anything else. I think once you have your own business, you kind of feel like, you can just keep stretching out, can't you?
Sometimes it just naturally evolves as well. So I know I was saying about your intuition, but sometimes you can have an idea in your head and it goes in completely another direction, because you're going where the need is. And meeting people where they are. So they go, like you said, have you thought about this? And you're like, no, I didn't. But actually, that's a great idea. And then it takes it in. Because I think when I first started, I think I said to you, I emailed all the schools, and that was my intention. I'd be contracting. But actually, it was more parents paying privately.
Yeah.
And now I say it's about half and half. But that changes all the time.
Yeah.
So, but then you've got the option then, you can go with different
and that's
things,
why I thought if I offer out the other interventions and I do like friendship groups and different things in the schools, because the schools... The schools have got a huge amount of need, but as all the Senkos will say to you, they haven't got enough staff to then run. Even like a lot of schools have their school ELSAs now, but then they're pulled from pillar to post, and they haven't
been made redundant.
Wow, this is the thing, and so the Senko and the poor class teachers can't do it all themselves. No. So I'm trying to find anything that I can try and offer, and that's why I've left it quite open on the website, saying anything bespoke, get in touch, and we can put our heads together.
Yeah.
We so actually that did happen in a school not that long ago. They had a group of year 5 lads, and they said we need some restorative justice. I said, no problem, give me a week, I'll get some stuff together that I think would work for them, and then we'll come in, and it's worked really, really well. Again, another really nice story where the teacher keeps saying to me, I've had some great examples this week where they've got together and they do try to use scripts that I've used them of, I feel such thing when you do such thing. Can you such thing? And I was like, oh my goodness, they're using it. And it's then stopped a lot of problems in the classroom. The teachers, I can actually teach more.
But this is the thing, when you're born, you don't have all of this.
No.
So it does have to be taught, how we converse, how we communicate.
Exactly.
And I mentioned on the podcast yesterday, I think it was Denmark, they're doing a whole thing around empathy. Yeah. I remember teaching year 4 classes. I asked my whole class, I was a TA, what's empathy? Nobody knew what it meant. And then we did a whole workshop around it.
Yeah.
On a wellbeing day.
But it is, if you say to children sometimes, you show them like a whole page of like emojis, they can find the happy, the sad and the angry, but anything else, they struggle to put like a word to it and have like a meaning to it. And so I think the problem is, in schools, there's so much emphasis on the learning side, which, okay, fair enough. But to me, if the child's well-being, emotional well-being isn't secure, you're going to really struggle to teach that child anyway. Yeah. You know, like the amount of times in my old job where you'd go in and they'd be like, oh, we got kids rampaging outside or on the school roof and they're doing this, they're doing that. And then you try and offer them some nurture work, intervention work. Oh, I haven't got time to do that. And you're like, but you've just spent an hour chasing this child around the school grounds. Yeah. This would have been a better use of your time.
Absolutely.
So it's trying to get schools on board to see, I understand funding, that's a massive issue. So schools first of all go, well, we haven't got endless amount of money to pay people to come in. But if we could get more of that in schools. Yeah. And I think it works better sometimes with somebody coming from outside coming in.
It does, I think. And also training sometimes the staff around the sort of language they're using. So we were talking yesterday about, you know, if a child's acting up, it's saying, what do you need? Yeah. Just asking a child, what do they need? I had a child look at me like that once. It's never been asked that. Because everyone's reacting to the behaviour. It's like, well, what are you trying to communicate? So just trying to change your language and flipping how you say things sometimes. So you can just try and get to the root of what's going on so that they know you do care.
That's
you're not just chasing around a school. Because if they run and you run, they're just going to keep running.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then you think, well, what's the child getting out of that? And some children, you get drawn into a bit of that cat and mouse then as well, because they quite then like the play of that. Yeah. And I think there's so many children now with sensory processing difficulties that plays a massive factor in schools. I just don't think they're set up for those children where they really struggle in those loud, busy environments. Yeah. And then you've got children that need to leave the classroom, but then they're getting told off for leaving the classroom, but that's what they need. They need to have a safe space. Yeah. And you feel like the poor children can't win sometimes. And I think, you know, I feel for the teachers too, because I've been on both sides of it.
Of course.
And you kind of think, you know, they've got this curriculum and this amount of lessons they've got to cram in a day. Yeah. But equally, you've got so many children where their needs, to me, the needs are met. And that's what's causing a lot of the meltdowns. Yeah. And actually, we probably would have less meltdowns in school if we could change the curriculum and be a bit more flexible with it. I mean, I was all happy, couldn't wait. Checking the news every day remember the white paper that came out recently, and it was really delayed, wasn't it, by a good few months. Okay, they went, can't wait, And I remember like setting aside a whole day to go through this with my highlighter. And I was like, oh no, they haven't got the idea that it's like, oh, we'll give the staff some training, and we'll set up some little hubs.
Yeah.
But they haven't realised it's the curriculum itself.
Yeah.
That
is the issue.
Walk down the corridor with your hands behind you. Sit at a desk. Don't move.
Yeah. Don't talk.
Don't talk. Don't look at anyone.
But make sure you give me eye contact.
Yeah. This is the thing.
What have you gone?
I know, and there's so many children that I go into schools and I hear that teachers saying, give me eye contact. And I'm thinking, that child's on the spectrum. Some children on the spectrum really struggle with that.
But they say that's the only way they know a child's listening. No, it's not.
No.
They could even be doodling and they still be listening to you.
Yeah.
Because they need to be doing something
So my son's a big fan of that. And I think, some teachers probably walk in a room and think, what on earth is he doing?
Right, sorry guys, my alarm just went off and then that paused the podcast. So Bekki was just saying about her son is a big fan of doodling. There we go, we're back on track.
Oh yeah, if you give him like a drawing pad and a pen, he'll sit there for hours quietly. And I think some people probably think, oh, so he can focus then. Oh, so is he just picking and choosing when he kind of has his meltdowns and messes around? But actually he's focusing and concentrating, so he has a lot of stimming, so he'll hum quite a lot. And I think I can understand how it's disruptive for the other children in the class, but that's his way of focusing. So he'll have to be drawing or doing something, otherwise he's spinning around because he's just got all this energy.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to that sensory seeking that we talked about earlier. So many children, I think, nowadays have that you get sensory seeking, don't you? Then you get the ones where actually they're overstimulated.
Yeah.
And I do feel for teachers because
and then
sometimes yes, we're getting a lot of children with mixed profiles.
Yeah.
I think years ago it used to be a little bit easier to kind of go, oh yeah, that child's got this, this child's got that, right, that works. Nowadays, as you say, if what works for one child one day doesn't work the next day.
No.
And so schools are pulling their hair out and not really sure what to do. But that's where I think if schools have more flexibility with the curriculum and they could take it at their own pace.
Yeah.
So I remember saying to a teacher once, your class, what would really, really help is, because I observed them coming back in from playtime, and they would like just wild, like buzzing, jumping around, like jumping on the tables, and then trying to get them to be calm again. Took a while, and I said, why don't you have some like a calming activity for them to do when they come back in ready, so that that it's their setup, gives them that little minute just to calm down a little bit. And they were like, oh, we can't, we have not got time in the day for that. And I was like, really, are you sure? To be fair, they showed me their daily timetable and they were like,
every
it was
minute's accounted
rammed. Absolutely rammed. They were like, we get told off we're late for assembly because that then knocks everything back. And I'm like, wow. But then
there's no contingency built in. It's every minute's accounted for. And I felt like that when I used to cover a class. I could see the change in myself because I get stressed. That's why I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, and me too. That's why in the end, I thought, actually, I want to work with the children. I really want to get on the ground, work with the children, give them strategies. And I think that's my main objective with setting up my business, was thinking, actually, what can I do where I can use the skills that I've got and the qualifications, but then I can also do something that I really love and enjoy.
Yeah.
Because we got so busy on the SMH team that we ended up just becoming an advisory only service. So years and years ago when I first joined, we used to go out to schools and do this work for them. So we'd go out and do those one-to-one. We'd do an anger management. We'd do something.
So you'd actually deliver the work.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then over time, because we'd get busier and busier, there'd be more children that needed us, and the schools needed our advice more and help, because we would write like reports for them as well to help with like the EHCP process and whatever else. So we got told as a team, look, we haven't got capacity anymore to deliver those interventions, which was really sad for me, because that was the one part of the job I actually preferred more than working with the adults.
Yeah.
And so when I got made redundant, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to pick up where we left off 10 years ago.
That's brilliant.
And actually start going out to the schools and offering these interventions.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some stuff that teachers will feel confident to do, but then there's other things they think, oh, actually, I might just leave that to someone else to do. But I'm more than happy to go in and have those awkward conversations. And I think it helps. Well, the minute I say to a child, oh yeah, my son's also on the spectrum, and they go, oh, okay, so you get me, you understand.
Yeah.
And then when I talk to a parent, I say, my husband has ADHD, so I know exactly. We live in a madhouse.
Yeah.
And then they can relate to that.
Yeah.
And so that for me has been the best part of the job is being able to share my life experiences with families, and to design, as I said before, designing that, I just called it Exploring Neurodiversity. And it's just a fab little workshop for a child. And it's 1-to-1, so they can just sit there and have all that time, ask questions. The lads who were giving was a bit like, oh yeah, I don't really have any questions to ask. I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if I want to be here.
Feel uncomfortable, yeah.
By the end of it, it was like, oh, so how does this happen? And what happens when you're an adult? And how would I be okay getting a job? And then it was like, hold on, remember those celebrities we were talking about, you know? And that's the thing. It's showing children that it's okay. And I think for me, neurodiversity is a big part of my life. So I trained to be a neurodiversity coach so that I could then go out and deliver these sessions to children.
Yeah.
And I just think because it's just, I'm trying to think what they were saying now, like 1 in 5 children or 1 in 4 children now. So you go into a classroom, you're going to have to expect at least 4 or 5 children are going to be on the spectrum. And that spectrum's massive.
And that's just the ones we know about. Yeah.
But this is the thing, because then you also get the children that are very, very good at masking, especially the girls. I think sometimes a lot of time the girls were overlooked because they're just coming across as shy or anxious. They put down they're just anxious, that's all. And sometimes when you delve deeper and you sit there and you just observe, because I do miss that side of the job on my old job, it was going into classrooms, sitting in the back and just observing a child and them not knowing that you're there for them.
Yeah.
And you start to pick up on like little mannerisms and things they do, little quirks. And then you talk to the teacher after, you go, oh, I didn't realise they did that. And I'm like, that's okay. It's just because I'm in a fortunate position where I can come in and that's the only role I've got. Yeah. I don't have to worry about.
Yeah, you're not delivering.
And keeping all 30 children under control for an hour. I can come in and I can see that. And it's really quite nice. I think over the years, as I say, I started off in early years. Then I went into mainstream primary. Then I went into SDN primary. Then I had a little time in between where I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. And I joined an agency. I actually worked for a supply agency. And that was brilliant because they sent me, so I ended up doing like a little stint at St. Luke's, Riverside, all these different places where then it's given me the insight into what's out there.
Yeah. You've seen it all.
Every
aspect.
Get like a wider picture. Yeah. And then being in the SMH team really gave me that inside sort of knowledge and working closely with the local authority when it comes to EHCPs and really seeing, sadly, the broken systems. I wish I could do a bit more. And back of my head, somewhere thinking, come on, Bekki, there must be something you can do. I'm not sure yet what that next thing will be, but I really love to get involved with the local authority or something to try and shape things a little bit different for our neurodiverse children, because it's such a big thing now. Yeah. And it's frustrating because you do get a lot of people that kind of go, oh yeah, oh, they just want a label. Or, you know, we've even shared with friends of ours about Reggie, about, oh, yeah, waiting for a diagnosis and we're going through this system, and we're like, oh, is he one of those? And I'm like, oh, and that's friends, talking about your friend's child. And
that's a gut punch,
there's
really.
Still a stigma. Yeah. And, you know, I was supposed to hear the other day somebody saying, oh, well, people just stick the ear defenders on their kids so everybody knows that they're different. And I'm like, oh my goodness, if you knew what my poor little Reg had to go through, he wears it, and wearing ear defenders has been a game changer for him. So I couldn't get him to wear them for the first 2 years of school because he didn't like his ears being touched. Right. So we found something that might help, but then because of the sensory side, he wouldn't wear them. Finally, in year 2, he has put them on, and he's like, wow, mummy. He's like, it's amazing. Oh. He's like, I can actually block out sounds. I mean, I think the teacher's still there in front of him going, Reggie, hello, focus on me. It's probably more he can just block the teacher.
Yeah, and everyone.
But it's really, really helped. And he then is happy to try new situations and new environments. Whereas before, things like going to supermarkets, oh my goodness, you'd pull up in the car and he'd sit there and he'd be like, come on, we need to get out. Who's going to be in there, mummy? How many people? And I'm like, I can't tell you exactly how many people was in Asda today. I don't really know. But he'd have all these questions and these anxieties about or who's going to be there. And what's difficult as well, because everything's very black or white literal with him. Obviously, after we did that whole stranger danger talk, he then takes it literally now. And, well, there's going to be strangers in Asda, isn't there? And, you know, we're not meant to talk to strangers. And then, because I'm quite a chatty person, I'll just start chatting to random people in the queue. Here they go, Mummy, we don't talk to strangers,
Mummy, you're
do
putting
we?
me in danger.
And then it's so hard to explain to him.
Aww.
But yeah, you can talk to strangers, but it's different because you're with Mummy.
Yes.
We're in a safe environment.
Yes.
But that's really, really hard to
Yeah.
navigate that side of children. So I know what a lot of parents are going through, because you think you teach them one thing, but then it goes against something else that you're teaching them. And then you end up getting your child giving you a lesson. You were telling off. I'm like, oh, sorry, yep, sorry. I mean, you walk past a park with a dog on the lead, and there's a sign saying no dogs allowed. And Reggie runs over and puts his hand up, Mummy, you are not allowed in the park, because it says no dogs allowed. And I'm like, it's okay, Reggie, I'm literally just walking past the park.
Yeah. We're not taking him on the swing. It's fine.
And you do become the fun police,
Exactly.
I feel like saying to him. But he takes all of that quite literally, and so he struggles then to fit into that society sometimes, because other people, sometimes you get kids looking at him and kind of laughing a bit and thinking, oh, that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
And then when he was younger, he didn't bat an eyelid, but of course now he's 7, going on 8, and he's starting to notice now, and he's starting to say, children say to me that I'm a weirdo. And I'm like, but then I tried to make it into a fun. I'm like, it's good being a weirdo, isn't it? So now I do daft things sometimes on purpose.
Yeah.
Go, oh, I'm such a weirdo.
Yeah.
And we kind of then have a bit of a laugh about it. And I'm just saying, try and teach him to be himself.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't matter what other people think of
No.
you. And that is hard, because even as an adult, even at 40 now, I still sometimes, you walk past people and sometimes you think, oh, I don't want to be judged, or I don't want to be looked at as being different, and it's hard. So I'm trying really hard to be an example for him now, and to say to him that it's okay, you be you.
Yeah.
You can't say to people that you're different, because everyone is different. Everyone's got their own little personalities, and all we need to do is accept people for who they are. And that's something that Reggie's so brilliant. Like this morning, this trampoline session, there was like a little boy that was a bit nervous to go on trampolines. Reggie just goes straight over, holds his hand out. I can help you.
Oh my gosh, that's so
And
lovely.
I'm just like,
how heartwarming.
It's so lovely. Like, children are true gems. They just need that nurturing.
Yeah.
And learning how to manage their emotions. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of in schools at the moment. It's children that just have big emotions.
Yes.
And they don't know what to do.
No.
And schools are really, really struggling. And I think we're now getting to a national problem with suspensions and permanent exclusions. Especially in secondary school, they seem a bit quicker to permanently exclude. Whereas primaries tend to hold on to them a bit longer,
They
try to be a bit more
do.
nurturing.
I was talking yesterday about, isolation.
Yeah.
And the whole, they're put in isolation, and then they'll sort of feel like they've got a label on their back then, and put in isolation again the next day, isolation again, isolation, out you come, back into classroom, isolation.
Yeah.
Are we talking to them? Are we saying, what happened? What went on? Do you want to talk to me
what's
about?
wrong?
And they're made to fill out, some of these schools are made to fill out a form. What were you thinking? Like restorative.
Yeah.
But that, I go, well, what happens? I can't even remember what school it was. Not that I would say it on here anyway, but I said, well, what happens next then? Oh, well, they read it and then they put it in the bin.
Oh.
What's the point then? So they're not even listening to what you're saying. So you might actually be writing something quite meaningful on there. You could be scribbling on there. The questions are a bit weird anyway, but even if you are, because you're maybe naive and you think it's going to be read, so you're taking your time and you're putting it in, and then it's not going anywhere anyway. So what's this then? It's not even a tick box exercise, because you're actually physically seeing it going in the bin. I begrudge a tick box exercise.
Yeah. And that's
so
just
what's
another,
the point? It's a waste of paper. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste
Yeah.
of their time. They read it. They're not going to do anything with it anyway because it's going in the bin.
And
You've seen it.
Children are not going to value that time then, are they? As a
No.
learning experience, because they're just going to think, well, the end goal is it goes in the bin, and a bin means it's rubbish, basically, because that's what a child would think like.
And then some of them are just mucking about in there. So
Yeah.
they'd rather be in there anyway because that person's overseeing them.
Yeah.
They're not talking to them. So then they're left to their own devices and then they're just dancing around.
Yeah.
So this is cool in here. I like it.
It's a bit like detention. I'm a bit controversial, so I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of detention, so I kind of think it's just a bit like glorified babysitting. You just put a bunch of kids in a room and they just have to sit there in silence.
Yeah, or they're allowed to read a book. I'm like, oh my God, I'd love that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Tell me I can read a book for an hour. I'm in.
Exactly. So I kind of think there needs to be
Against
more
spell.
work done with children.
Yeah.
So another session I offer as well is on self-esteem and resilience, because that's something else I noticed going around schools over the years is there's we can't always pinpoint exactly where it comes from. because I think sometimes staff in school, sometimes it's hard not to be a bit judgmental sometimes and think, oh well, must be something going on at home. And then you meet parents, I know a lot of families personally, and they're lovely, lovely people.
Yeah.
And even they're saying, I don't know what's happened. I've just always treated them really well, and I've brought them up. All the kids are all the same, but this one particular child just really, really struggles, and just feels quite low mood. I think we're getting a lot of that at the moment. Low mood. I see that a lot with children, and trying to find things that bring them joy and happiness. So that's another session that I haven't actually done yet, but I've got the session plan at home, and I'd love to go out to a school and do that one, because there's so many children that could really benefit from just hearing that actually being you is enough. You don't have to pretend to be anyone else or put on this show or hide away because you're not sure how to react or how to behave around other people. And I think children with neurodiversity, they struggle with that particularly, because that self-doubt creeps in a lot, especially children who overanalyse themselves. They're quite hard on themselves, children these days. They really question everything they're doing. Oh, is that good enough? Or should I have done? Oh, am I going to get told off for that? What am I doing there? And so I think there's a lot of children, there's lots and lots of different gaps that I've picked up on when I've been going around schools that I've kind of been writing down and putting together. But I'd love to hear from other people in schools, if anybody ever wanted to get in touch and let me know, because if there's another session that I could design, as I say, I want it to actually work.
You want to hear from people.
That's why I was quite strict with the local authority of my son's EHCP, because I said I really appreciate he's got one, because I know a lot of families are fighting to even get the assessment. So I'm really fortunate that he's got an EHCP. But the targets were just pretty rubbish. I can't really describe it any other way. And I looked and I thought, by the end of Key Stage 2, and I'm thinking there's still a few years away, and some of them he could already do. And I appreciate, the EPs only meet your children for an hour, and they've got to try and write all these targets based on that.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I don't want this just to be a tick box to go, oh, fab, my child's got an EHCP, right, what funding are you going to give us now? I want it to actually work. I want it to be a working document, so that when he goes into school, the teachers know, right, he needs to work on this, so we're going to put this in place. And it helps them with their planning.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of looked at me a bit like, well, you've got an EHCP, what's the problem? And I said, well, no, I need it to be right.
Yeah.
I need it to reflect his level of need.
Some of them are loosely worded, aren't they, as well? I've been hearing things like, I don't know, but like, say it says, could do with...
Yeah.
We've got to be careful, because we need some, either a parent who's on it, like yourself, or somebody else to look at that with fresh eyes and go, no, the language needs to be changed there, because if it's not watertight, then they can get out of.
Because it's could. That's not
could
saying
do with.
You will or you should. No, even should you can get out of as well, really. If it says at this time of day you're going to have this adult to work on this,
specific,
then it's got to be really, really specific. And there was a lot of things in there that the local authority like to use the word specified and quantified. But then when you look at some of these EHCPs, they're really not.
No.
I think one of his things said he could have 30 minutes support to regulate as and when. And I was like, as and when
as and when they choose the adult.
Well, that's the thing.
What if you come up and you're brave enough to say you're dysregulated, and they go, not now.
And that's what I said, well, but what if by 9:30 Reggie's used that half an hour?
Yeah.
Or you meant to have, like, Reggie, use 2 minutes here, because you've got to save that 1 minute for there and the other minute for it. And I was thinking, as and when, like, you can't give
He's
targets.
going to be trying to be there with a calculator himself, won't he?
Then you get more stress, because if you're trying to...
Yeah.
So it's really a difficult system that we're working in at the moment. I think seeing it from both sides as a professional and a parent has been... I think I'm in a fortunate position that I can see it with both sides.
Yeah.
And I know how stressful the EHCP process has been for somebody who knows a lot about the system. For me, I was saying to you earlier about my migraines and about how awful they've been lately, and the stress that I've been feeling, just feeling really emotional for thinking what's going on there. But the back of my head, I've just got this there playing on my mind constantly. That I've got this big thing coming up, and I've got to get it right for my child.
Do the best for my
and
child.
I thought, and that's someone who has worked in education for 20 years. So my heart really goes out to parents who are starting from scratch. They don't know the systems at all. And they're having to just believe what professionals are telling them. And a lot of times the professionals have got things wrong, or, but councils are trying to save money and make cutbacks, which I think is where this new thing in the white paper's come in, hasn't it? About how we're going to give EHCPs to the most complex of children. But I thought, have you gone around the Swindon schools? Like, a lot of these children, they have complex needs.
Yeah.
And they're not giving out EHCPs easily. So I don't know what the problem there is. But then poor Reg, you know, his now, if that white paper gets approved, it's saying that he'll get to keep his, but at the end of the school the year, so end of like the school that he's in, so primary school,
Yeah.
his will cease, and then we'll have to start from scratch again for secondary. And that terrifies me, because
how do they even have a time for all of that themselves?
this is the thing. So there's going to be so many parents now that are going to be feeling really anxious about all of this with their SEND children.
And then you arrive at the starting line again.
Yeah, when you think it's been a battle to get it now.
Yeah.
So he'll have it for 3 years. And as much as he does need it in primary, don't get me wrong, because he's also got significant learning needs. So like with reading and writing, he's coming out really, really far behind, about at least sort of 2 years academically behind. So he needs a lot of catch-up work. But then when he goes to secondary, I think that's when you'll see the social side for Reg.
Yeah.
I think the ADHD is a bit more at primary, and then I think you might see more the autism at secondary school, where he's got to go from class to class, different adults, different children.
Yes.
That's going to be a big deal for him.
Yeah.
And then if I had to then start again in year 6 to try and get him an EHCP, where I kind of thought, oh, we're protected now until he's 25. Because I was so pleased when they extended it, because it used to be like 16, didn't it, then 18, 20. And I was thinking, wow, this is fantastic. They're actually finally understanding SEND. And I feel like we've gone back in time now. So it's worrying time for people. So as I say, I'm really happy with my little business and the way it's going so far.
It's brilliant.
But yeah, I would love to hear from other people.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you've got in touch and had me on here today, and then hopefully meet up with other people.
Yeah.
Because it might be something that I can suggest or offer, or something they can suggest to me, and we go, fab, I haven't thought of that.
Exactly. And you're responding to a need. And obviously I spoke to you, you know, off the podcast and said that I am, you know, wanting to put people your way. When I am at capacity with Drawing and Talking, I will be saying your name.
Thank you, that'll be amazing.
And we'll put your website on my page. And you're going to put a Facebook page.
I'm going to make one. Yes, I've got to get with the times.
So we can share across the social media then.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so that people know about you and what you do, and obviously everything. Because a lot of what you said today, I didn't know you were offering. And like I said, people will bite your hand off for that.
Good.
I know someone that set up an ADHD support group for women.
Okay.
For adults, but it's for the children. Like you say, like for him, some of those questions he'd asked you, he wouldn't have said in a group setting. And you feel like you're asking a silly question. We say that as adults, don't we? Sometimes this might be a silly question, but a child wouldn't know to say that, so then they would just be very insular and keep it in.
Yeah.
Whereas he's then built a relationship with you and then become curious.
Yeah, that's it.
And then asked you questions, and then you've reaffirmed things for him.
Yeah.
Built his confidence. Now he's going to go off and do great work and be.
I was shocked. I mean,
Think about what you've done for him, and like we're going to being an adult, and he'll probably always remember you.
I really hope. I'd love to have that kind of impact. That's where I originally started from, was because
it just takes one person. I said this yesterday with Stride. It just takes one person to believe in you, and you're clearly not saying his parents aren't, obviously, but it's just clearly it's just an outsider.
That's it. And just try and learn how to navigate that, because I think school. I'm glad I'm an adult now. I don't think I'd want to go back to school.
Yeah.
It especially with all the social media and technology now. It doesn't sound. Primary school was fun when I was at primary school. Now all the children, like literally, there's always like a child crying or stressed about something. I think, wow, this like childhood should be a fun time.
And they're all in little groups.
Yeah.
I was in a big social group of 50 people, about 50, 60 people, because we all went up to youth club together. We all went to the common room together. So that was what we did, because we didn't have phones, whereas everything's a bit more sort of isolated, like sort of 2 or 3s, and it's not really a community.
No.
That's what we need to be building back
Yeah,
up,
definitely.
really.
I'd really like that. So so if you've got anyone you know, or anyone listens to this, they can get in
definitely.
touch, feel free.
This is what it's all about, doing the podcast. It's like really sharing what people are doing and pushing it, because we need to celebrate what your skill set, and there'll be people crying out for it. So, you know, there'll be a lot of people listening that will be like, right, I know who I'm contacting.
I'm going to be busy now, aren't I?
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about today?
No, I think that's it really, just to go over kind of the way, like how my story started and kind of what I offer.
Yeah.
As I say, my website's nurturepathway.co.uk.
Okay.
So you can always have a little look.
Yeah.
And on there, I've got my email address and different things. If people want to contact me, I'm constantly checking my spam, because I noticed that a lot of schools weren't getting back. I'm ringing them up, like, Senko's I knew quite well. Excuse me, why are you not replying to my email? And they were like, oh my goodness, it's gone to my spam. I think because they said it's sometimes when you get a new email address,
Yes.
doesn't recognise.
Yeah.
So if people email me, I'm constantly checking my spam, because sometimes they go in there.
Yeah.
So
I always do that. I say I've emailed you.
Yeah. So if people want to get in touch or
Yeah.
anything, or see where this goes, I'm more than happy.
I will share your website.
Thank
We'll put it on
you.
tonight.
Fab.
And then, navigate people to that. So it'd be great.
Thanks, Fran. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.